Hello everyone, this is Jake from CINECALIBER. In today's video, I will actually be reviewing a new film that has come out for this year, and that film is Inside Out 2. I actually took my wife and my daughter to go see this in the theaters, and it was very well worth the watch at the theaters. So I'm going to kind of just go into the introduction of this film. So basically, guys, this film was directed by Kelsey Mann. And this is actually Kelsey Mann's directorial debut. And he's taking over from Pete Docter, who directed the first Inside Out film. So basically, Kelsey Mann, he was basically a storyboard artist for various other Pixar projects. So he's a pretty good fit to be directing this film. But he did the storyboard for Monsters University, The Good Dinosaur, and also Onward. And again, this was a very strong outing for him. And arguably, I have to say, this is one of the best Pixar films to date, and one of the best sequels I have seen in a very long time. Now, also, Kelsey Mann also had the help of another Pixar worker known as Meg LaFouve, who basically wrote the screenplay and also helped with the screenplay of the first Inside Out. And they also made The Good Dinosaur as well, screenplay-wise. So again, it's basically a duo. They both have a really great track record with former Pixar films, and they kind of came together to put this film together. And they did a tremendous job. And I gotta say, guys, too, before I kind of get into this film, Pixar has had a really tough time in the 2020s, I feel, trying to recapture the magic that makes their films so good. I enjoyed films such as Onward. I liked Soul. I thought Soul was really good, and I really liked Luca as well. And Turning Red was pretty decent as well. But then there was films like Lightyear and Elemental to me that just didn't captivate me as much. But all in all, I have to say, as good as those films were, like Onward, Soul, Luca, and Turning Red, I just feel like compared to some of the earlier Pixar projects, it's been a bit weak. And I really feel like this film is a return to form for the studio. I'm really hoping that they kind of continue this in future films. So, and without further ado, we're going to go into what is the plot summary of this film. And this is as stated by IMDb. This film is a sequel that features Riley entering puberty and experiencing brand new, more complex emotions as a result. As Riley tries to adapt to her teenage years, her old emotions try to adapt to the possibility of being replaced. So if you guys never seen the first Inside Out, I definitely recommend it. The first Inside Out is basically these emotions inside this girl Riley, and basically in that one, they're just trying to navigate Riley's adjustment to moving, and she's basically still a kid trying to just figure out her normal emotions, right? And this one is more about her being as I stated in this plot summary, her being a teenager. So it presents new challenges and emotions. And without further ado, we're going to get into this film. We're going to go into first what was a hit with this film, The Good. So right off the bat, guys, I have to say, the dedication of the production team of this film is just simply astounding. Like its predecessor, the production team went all out in providing us an accurate story of characters that are basically just emotions. And they did this by consulting actual psychologists to accurately portray how teenagers' emotions can change during puberty and make them, who they are. And they also enlisted a group of teenagers to accurately portray modern teenage life. A lot of the production team had their own kids, and they basically would actually consult them on this film, asking, hey, what do you feel about this? You think this is accurate? So there was just a lot of heartfelt work put into this film from the get-go, from them doing all this background research to try and give us the best kind of film, and just giving us characters that are just emotions and just going through the life of being a teenager. So I thought that was truly outstanding. I also enjoyed that this film wasn't dumbed down. It doesn't just tailor to kids, even though it is a Disney film and it does attract the kids. But this film has true meaning, especially for kids that are coming of age, and even for adults as well. So for example, I'm going to go ahead a little bit here and kind of talk about the ending. or should I say the third act of the film. There's an example of this film of basically that has a message involving anxiety, and it basically shows what it's like to have a panic attack. I felt like again, this is indeed a kids' film, but that for them to put an important message for kids that they will understand one day, I thought that was truly amazing, and it even shows adults too the notions of these more complex emotions. As adults experience these emotions on a more higher scale, teenagers not so much, but they're starting to. And I felt like that message in here about anxiety and how it kind of went into a panic attack was just very accurate. And like I said, this was all happening during the third act, and it basically, to me, it's truly phenomenal storytelling. And like during the whole scene of the panic attack, you see like the storytelling has reached an all-time high. Everything's building up to this one moment, and then there's just some phenomenal visuals from the animation's point of view when they're navigating this anxiety attack. It's very suspenseful. It's very emotional. It just really hits you in the feels, and there's just not many films that do that. And arguably, the third act is basically the best aspect of the whole film. Like I said, all that build-up is just so worth it throughout the film. Also in this film, there's some really good voice acting. Maya Hawke, who is the daughter of Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke, is a true standout in the voice acting in this film. Basically, she was perfect, and perfectly cast as the main antagonist, Anxiety. I mean, from the moment she debuts, she steals the show. And as the film progresses, she really accurately depicts that emotion to a point where you cannot both hate her, but you also understand her, which is again relatable because no one likes anxiety, right, in real life, but we also can understand how anxiety can also be a positive at different times in our life. Like, I know that I get anxious when things happen, right? And sometimes that anxiety makes me go crazy. But I also know that anxiety also helps me kind of think about something and maybe plan for something in the future so I'm not so anxious. And that is basically how this character is portrayed. It is absolutely perfect how they showed this character. And Maya Hawke just did an outstanding job just depicting that, at least in my opinion. Another standout in this film, voice acting wise, was Amy Poehler. She reprises the role of Joy, the main protagonist, you would say. She does an excellent job here, guys. Basically, this Joy has this character navigates all the changes that are occurring with these new emotions taking over. And also, I have to give out a shout out to other characters too, such as Io Berry. She plays a new emotion called Envy. She basically tags along with anxiety a lot in this film. But I really thought that Io Berry really portrayed Envy very well. Those are arguably the two best new main characters of this film. They did a tremendous job. And also, I really liked how this film kind of included the main emotions a bit more in the narrative than the last film. In the last film, we basically had joy and sadness kind of being not a rivalry, but butting heads, on not agreeing on how to handle Riley's emotions. And then they kind of went off and did their own thing. And then the other emotions, fear, anger, and disgust, were kind of left to pick up the pieces. And they were used, but I feel like they were just more like a comedic relief than anything. I feel like that they were more of a factor here, and they kind of help Joy kind of gain perspective during times when she is just at a loss and doesn't know how to contend with this new world with these new emotions, basically. And I really like how we get to see Sadness's character grow from the last film as well. Sadness was such a hindrance in the last film, but she's really grown here, and now Joy basically sees her as an asset, and I like how that they wrote her in this film to be that asset, because when push came to shove, she was the one towards the end, I would say, that really kind of made everything come together, so to speak, or a big motivating factor for some other characters to kind of help with this whole scenario where Riley was just going through this crazy anxiety attack. Like I said, tremendous storytelling and tremendous characterization. And just the immense world building in this film too, guys, was just, again, astounding. We kind of explore some different aspects of Riley's body. One of the main highlights I would say is she has this new sense of self, which is like a new belief system about Riley and her view of the world. I thought that they explored that very well. And these beliefs kind of rise up and tangle into a glowing little bundle that makes up Riley's sense of self, basically. So it's like a tree that kind of comes together and builds who Riley is. And then what I like too is that the original emotions are basically, they've become protective over this, especially as these new emotions barge in. It's like like I said, the new emotions are basically embarrassment and which is basically like sarcasm, envy, and then of course anxiety. These are all emotions that mess with your head. So I love how they're trying to mess with Riley's head. And then we have the original emotions who are basically acting, more rationally, not so much like, thought process. So it's like thought process versus, I'm trying to think of the best word to describe it. You have the mind versus how you feel, basically. And that's what I liked about it. And I thought that they portrayed that very well in this film. And really, guys, that was everything from me that was a hit. And then we're gonna go over what was a miss, the bad. To be honest, I really didn't have much. I always have some slight criticism for any film, but I didn't have much issue with this film. I thought it was a masterpiece from start to finish. The only criticism I would give it is that I wish both the new emotion characters, Embarrassment and You, had a bit more screen time, just to flesh them out a bit. Envy and anxiety were so well portrayed, but I feel like the other ones kind of just took a step back, and it was kind of a downer. But again, all in all, not much to criticize here. And without further ado, we're going to go into the conclusion, and we're going to wrap up this review. So guys, let me tell you, there aren't many sequels out there that can do better or live up to the originals, but this film proves that the sequels can do just that if they are handled right. Inside Out 2 is a film that has a little bit of something for everyone. The film is filled with immense world building, great moral messages about our emotions, and they're just these emotions are portrayed significantly thanks to great storytelling. The animation is on cue, and just the overall voice acting. This is a must-see film for everyone, in theaters too if you can. And I have to give this film, with all that said, a final rating of a 5 out of 5. I liked it that much. And it's probably one of my top films of the 24 years so far. The only other film I would say that tops it is so far Dune Part II. And that's a pretty heavy task because Dune Part II was also outstanding. But yeah, guys, definitely go see this if you can. Definitely one of the best Pixar movies to date. And I'm really hoping that Pixar continues this quality storytelling because they did a tremendous job. Very big props to them. And without further ado, that is all I have for today. Please, as always, please comment, like, and subscribe to this channel. And this is Jake from CINECALIBER.